This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we have found ourselves once more on the planet of WWE Eternia as we look at the masters of the WWE Universe, the Ultimate Warrior, heroic champion of WWE Eternia. And this is actually the second release of the Ultimate Warrior in the WWE Universe collection, making him one of only a handful of figures to have multiples. And my dumbass didn't actually bring the other one with to compare them to. Not that there's much to really compare. Also, just to note, I think when I open this up, I'm going to do it more the old-fashioned way, because if you look here, it appears that the comic has actually been sealed into the plastic. So I am expecting it to not be pretty when it comes out. But we get to the back of the box where we get the image of him coming out of what I'm assuming is an escape pod, with the story being, load the spaceship with the rocket fuel. All the fuses and exit signs have been burnt out. There is no place to run. The power of the Ultimate Warrior will always prevail. So are they trying to tell us here that he fought on a spaceship and then exited through like an escape pod? That is some pretty awful wording in that sentence structure. This Ultimate Warrior does not come with any weapons either, and it appears that he just has two fists, so he doesn't even have a gripping hand this time around. As part of this wave, we have Goldberg, the heroic human jackhammer, Kane, the demonic red machine, Stephanie McMahon, the evil billion-dollar skull queen, and the Ultimate Warrior, the heroic champion of WWE Eternia. And this figure will actually finish off this wave of reviews. So like I said, we'll do this the old-fashioned way. The mini comic did not come off with the plastic, but as you can see, it did get sealed to the cardboard. Not too much damage, though. Well done. What's interesting to note on the cover here, now first off, this definitely is a reproduction of one of the old Motu comics. I believe it's the first issue of the Powers of Grayskull comic, where it shows He-Man on the, I believe they called it the Binotops, which is very similar to what the Ultimate Warrior sitting on here. Then we have this dude, Jake the Snake Roberts, looks like he's on an Allosaurus. We've got a pterodactyl in the background there, and of course we have the Fiend. Sadly, we did not get any animals or vehicles. Maybe we'll get the animals in the Origins line, because they did produce some of these creatures. I mean, not this one, but this is pretty close to that T-Rex that they did. And we know they had the pterodactyl one. Oh, shit. Just when I thought I'd managed to avoid too much damage to the comic. The Ultimate Warrior, heroic champion of WWE Eternia. The great battle has begun. A darkness threatens to consume WWE Eternia as the faction of evil superstars rise from parts unknown to control the balance of power. But the heroic superstars accept the challenge to defend the planet and determine who are the masters of the WWE Universe. Height, 6 foot 2 inches. Weight, 280 pounds. Superstar powers, super strength and super intensity fueled by the universal power connecting warriors throughout the galaxy. Foreign objects, ultimate energy harness and cape of warriors. Bow before your queen, savage. Sorry, princess, but the HWO is here and we're taking over. Oh yeah! They say those who do not remember history are doomed to repeat it. But you, Macho Man Randy Savage, and you, Stephanie McMahon, who is now the Skull Queen, you cannot forget. Feel the power of the Ultimate Warrior. Smash! On the back of his little 4-page mini book, we have, again, our cross-sell with Goldberg, the heroic human jackhammer, Kane, the demonic red machine, Stephanie McMahon, the evil billion-dollar Skull Queen, and, of course, the Ultimate Warrior, the heroic champion of WWE Eternia. So we get this furry-looking cape, which I think is a new piece. It's also got kind of like this little like skull tooth claw necklace thing. I don't know if they've used this with any other toy line, but I'm pretty sure I don't recall it in any of the Origins figure line. So that this is probably the reason why we didn't get any weapons. So as far as reuse goes, I think the harness is new, but everything else on this guy is basically a redo of either the previous figure of him or other figures. Because these tassels on the boots were definitely used with the previous version, as were the armbands. But I am pretty sure this is a new harness design. Pop his head off and let's put the cape on, because if this is how he's supposed to be displayed, you know, just doing this right now, it has me wondering if this actually was meant for a different figure somewhere, because this is not sitting on the back of the harness very well. So if anybody who collects like the WWE figures, maybe let me know if this goes with something else in one of the other lines, because although I thought that this was going to be a made specifically for this line, just the way it's sitting on him, it does not appear to be that way. And it causes nothing but interference with that head. I'm not even sure how it's supposed to sit on him. Jeez, this thing sucks. Anyway, so we can still get the 360 with the head, but as you can see, there is a ton of interference by that cape that looks like it doesn't actually design for this. And man, that just goes all over the place. Now he's wearing it like a bib. I'm just going to say this cape is absolute trash. I guess if you just display him statically, it'll be fine, but I don't like it. His head sculpt's not too bad, and it does actually appear that the deco on the face is lined up properly, because it does look to me, at least without enlargement by a camera, that the point is centered on the nose as it should be, and that the sides are equal distance from the mouth corners. So we saw how poorly the articulation with the head went with the cape on. Now let's see how poorly the arms work with the cape on. So we can hinge up still and hinge down. We can spin the arm and watch it as it turns everything on him. You can get the arm to spin all the way around, but it moves the cape out of the way. Which, of course, because of how tight the fit is there, it stays out of the way at least, I guess. Boon, maybe. We have the standard single joint elbow, less than 90 degrees on that sucker. We do get the spin, though, because it has to have that pin in there. And man, that motion looks even worse with a fist. We can spin the wrist at 360. We have the in and out articulation on the hand. And like I mentioned before, two fists. He's a two-fisted drinker. We get the 360 at the waist. Standard WWE diaper. No butt icons. You can kick up yay far. You can kick back yay far. I feel like I got him in kind of a Superman pose at the moment. Knee pads do kind of interfere though with the knee bend. We can spin the boot cut at a 360. We can activate the hinge at the foot. We get a little bit of a twist from the peg, but the way the boot there is, it kind of interferes. Or I should say the fringe tassels. We could force a 360, but I wouldn't recommend it too much. If we take the cape off, we get the standard 360 move on the head. He can look up and he can look down. Doing sideways interferes a bit with that harness design. Mattel cheaped out on the paint again by only painting the first half of the details on the harness instead of going all the way through. Which I keep on thinking, I think they actually did paint all the way to the back on the He-Man figure, so I don't know why they didn't do it this way on the Ultimate Warrior here. I wonder if this is like the same harness that the John Cena figure uses. Since I've already done a background on the Ultimate Warrior in a previous video, I will just link that video in the description and at the end cap, I think. So we'll just go ahead and say overall, I'm not a fan of this figure. It feels really like just a cheap redeco overall. The cape, I mean, I guess it looks fine if you're just doing like a static pose like that. The fact that it does not seem to be designed specifically to fit on this figure does help it flare out a bit, I guess, because the back of the harness kind of pushes it out. And as long as you don't want to move the head around while he's wearing the cape, I think you're fine, I guess. But like I said, I'm not too impressed with this one. And I know I got him early on in the line because, I mean, that sticker was from, I think, a visit to one of the Mattel stores that used to be open around the country. I think there was about, what was it, like 8 of them at one point, and then they all started closing slowly one by one. So if you're a fan of the Ultimate Warrior and you can get your hands on this figure, I mean, you can do it if you're a fan. If you're just randomly picking up WWE Universe figures and you're not trying to complete the collection, I'd just leave this guy by the wayside. I just don't think he was worth it. However, we will put him into a battle, and we will have him go up against the Fiend, since that was what was in the comic. Or on the cover of the comic. You know what? The cover of the comic did not actually have anything to do with the actual comic itself. I think they just wanted to pay homage to that old He-Man cover, and that was it. Anyway, let's set up a wrestling match. And now for the matchup for the championship of WWE Eternia and the Grayskull Arena, we have the Ultimate Warrior versus Bray the Fiend Wyatt. And the Ultimate Warrior almost knocks the Fiend out of the ring. And the Fiend wins. The champion of WWE Eternia has been defeated. Anyway, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace and love.